Since we have a small group here, so maybe if you want to ask some questions and I can answer them. Your question, sure.
Yes, Chef.
Well, I'm very curious, in the day of Top Chef and Beat Bobby Flay, what do you count for your longevity?
My longevity?
Your longevity.
You know, my life is an evolution, really. You know, so I change all the time. When I opened Spargo in 1982, and Spargo today is totally different. In 1983, I opened a Chinese restaurant called Chinois. You know, we have the Sourcier, which is a similar concept. So I always move. I never think what is good today gonna be good tomorrow. So I think evolution, but also a mixture of tradition and innovation.
Right.
And I think that's really what keeps us going, because most of the chefs who were popular in the 80s, nobody talks about them anymore. And we do things all over the world. I just got back from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and I actually was pleasantly surprised there. A woman picked me up at the airport. She almost had a miniskirt on, a fairly short dress, no headscarf, no nothing. And then at the restaurant, we had this restaurant in the old palace. We opened for a week, and it was really interesting because still the women came together. The young women were nothing on their top and had regular Western style dresses on. So I think the next thing is they're gonna serve wine and alcohol in certain hotels. So I was pleasantly surprised. I know it's a big controversy about, you know, if you protest or whatever you do, I think it's not a good thing there, but I think it's certainly changing. So it's good to see the world and do different things.
Thank you very
Mark
much.
has a question.
Hi, Chef. Thank you for coming. How would you recommend, like, somebody who's starting out brand new in the industry, learning how to taste and how to pick out various different aspects of particular food?
Well, I think it's with wine, with food, you just have to start at a lower level. You know, you don't gonna start with a bottle of wine which costs $300 and start tasting with other ones, unless you're really wealthy. But even then, you start with something a little bit less expensive. Now with food, it's really simple. In the old time, when I opened Spargo, for example, I went to a farm to pick up vegetables. So I got strawberries, melon, white corn, whatever was in season. And that's what we served at Spargo in 1982. At that time, there was no farmer's market. There was nobody really. You could order vegetables from the big produce market, the same people who served the supermarkets, you know. And all of a sudden, people came up to me and said, Wolfgang, how come your green beans taste so good? Well, I said, I just bought them in from the farm 2 hours away, and we cooked them at night. And the same thing was with the fish. I went to the fish market, so I said, you know, the Japanese restaurants, they serve fish raw, so it must be of good quality, it must be really fresh to serve them like that. So I went with a friend of mine who had a Japanese restaurant, and so I went to the Japanese fish market. I bought all the fish from the Japanese fish market. So we were probably the first restaurant who served tuna in a Caucasian-style restaurant. You know, today there's no restaurant in the world which doesn't serve tuna. I'm actually surprised there's still some tuna left in the ocean. But I think you always go what is the best. In the winter, I grew up in Austria. In the winter time, there was that much snow, so there was no vegetables. But my mother kept celery root, beetroots, carrots, potatoes in the cellar. So we ate that stuff in the winter time. And but it was still right out of the garden. It didn't taste maybe as good as 2 months earlier, but it was still pretty good. So I really believe once you taste quality, it's very difficult to go backwards.
Chef, we have Amanda with a question.
I'm gonna ask two if that's okay. What is your favorite thing to eat and what is your favorite thing to cook? If those are different.
You know, to me, to say one favorite thing, to cook one favorite thing to eat, you know, variety is the spice of life. And I think I have one wife and I have many things I like to cook and many things I like to eat. So I don't really have one thing where I could say, I only want to eat pasta, I only like meat or I like fish. You know, it's my taste buds are all over the place. As long as the ingredients are really good. You know, I can have a great vegetarian meal as long as it's really good vegetables. You know, if they are supermarket vegetables, often they have no flavor. But if you get them directly at the farmer's market and you cook them, you say, wow, I never thought beans tasted that good, or spinach, or whatever it is. So I think, but if you want to invite me for dinner, if it's white truffle season, we have a good bottle of red wine and the white truffle pasta wouldn't be so bad for Sunday.
Chef, we have a question from Anna.
Earlier you mentioned about young chefs wanting to start restaurants here and there. Any business advice for those young chefs?
Well, I really think the young chefs should really study before they go out being a chef, work in good restaurant if that is the direction they want to go into. Naturally, there are many different avenues you can go down as a chef. You want to be a catering chef, you want to be a hotel chef, you want to own your own restaurant, you want to be a cooking instructor, whatever it is, I think, but learn before you do that. You know, it's very hard to go back afterwards after you have a chef position or something like that, and then say, okay, now I'm going to go to a great restaurant in Italy or in France and learn how to cook or how to do more. So that patience is a really important part. Everybody wants to own their own restaurant. Everybody wants to do a television show before sometimes they know to cook. And I always tell that story in one of these shows called Top Chef, I think so. I had like 6 chefs coming to our restaurant cut. And the producer said, you tell them what to do, they all have to do the same thing. So I said, all right, let's make an omelet. I mean, how simple could it be? So I put up cheese and mushroom, smoked salmon and lobster, all great ingredients. And I gave each one 4 eggs. I said, you only have 4 eggs. If you fuck it up, you have to come back. So sure enough, not one chef could actually make a right omelet. The way I learned when I was 16 years old. So they were chefs in restaurants, but they didn't know the basics. So I think learning the basics, for me at least, it helped me a lot to expand. So, you know, we have a restaurant like Kat, we have a restaurant like Shinoa, which is an Asian restaurant with, you know, Chinese, Southeast Asian influences. Why? Because I knew the basics really well. And I think even today, French technique is still the best. Now you could debate, is it French restaurants, Spanish restaurants, restaurants in Hong Kong or Tokyo, wherever it is, but a lot of them use French technique to go wherever they want to go.